Naruto. Naruto, let's turn dark. Chapter 31. Shisui rolled his eyes. But I have to admit that this is a fact. Su Ming shook his head and looked at Shisui. Is there anything else? If nothing happens, you can leave. Shisui was stunned. Is it so straightforward? Evict people after the fight. By the way, don't tell anyone about your activation of the Mangekyo Sharingan, especially the top management of Konoha. Su Ming reminded. In fact, only the Uchiha clan can solve its problems. Don't place your hopes on anyone. Also, give up your idea of using another god on Fugaku, unless you want to destroy the Uchiha. Before Shisui could react, Su Ming had already left. After thinking about Su Ming's words, Shisui was a little confused. Itachi-kun's friend is so mysterious. Su Ming left Shisui and walked directly towards Kakashi. Kakashi was a little panicked when he saw Su Ming coming here. Considering his character, he has never done this kind of thing except when he was studying Intimate Love in Paradise. But now, Su Ming looked like he had obviously discovered him. Kakashi panicked. Even subconsciously want to leave. Su Ming stopped him. Come out, Kakashi. Kakashi froze and could only walk out. When he stood up, he put down the forehead protector on his forehead and covered the Sharingan again. Kakashi walked up to Su Ming. At this time, Su Ming looked at Kakashi carefully. He has long white hair, wears a black mask, his left eye is blocked by a forehead protector, and wears a tight-fitting black combat uniform with green Junin mail on the outside. There are dark red logos tattooed on the shoulders and back. This is Kakashi's outfit. However, when seeing Kakashi's black mask, Su Ming suddenly thought that in the original Naruto novel, Naruto and Sasuke guessed what Kakashi looked like under his black mask. Thick lips or buck teeth. At that time, Juju, who pretended to be indifferent, but was actually very sultry, was also very keen on this secret. Su Ming has always been very casual, so when he thought of this, he directly stretched out his hand and touched Kakashi's mask. Kakashi subconsciously retreated, but he was nowhere faster than Su Ming. The mask was removed, revealing a rather handsome face. Su Ming clicked his tongue in surprise. Unexpectedly, when he was young, Kakashi could be called a little bit of fresh meat. Kakashi was confused by Su Ming's actions. Su Ming didn't care. He put Kakashi's mask back on him and said casually. Just a little curious. Kakashi was speechless. Patting Kakashi on the shoulder, Su Ming said. Have you been watching it for a while? What do you think? Kakashi was stunned for a moment, then shook his head. Too strong, I am no match. Puff. Su Ming smiled. Kakashi is no match, that's for sure. At this time, Kakashi, even though his strength is good, cannot reach cage level. However, it was not bad to be able to clearly see the battle between Su Ming and Zishui. What do you think is your most powerful ability? Su Ming asked Kakashi. Kakashi thought about it carefully. When Su Ming asked, the first thing that came to his mind was the Sharingan, and then Chidori. Then he gave his answer. Su Ming shook his head. Kakashi was completely stunned. The Sharingan is very strong, but it is destined to come from someone else. No matter how skillfully you use it, it will never be able to match the original owner. Su Ming Dao. In fact, many people know the origin of Kakashi Sharingan. From Obito. Kakashi was silent. Whenever Obito was mentioned, he would think of that not-so-good memory. That may have been one of the few moments of warmth that Kadian had in his childhood, but it was ruined. Su Ming knew what Kakashi was thinking, but at this time, he didn't want to say too much about it. He said, have you ever thought about practicing sword skills? Sword skills. Kakashi was stunned. He really hadn't thought about it. In other words, I dare not think about it anymore. In the past, he had indeed longed for and yearned for it, and even once swore that he would be famous in the ninja world for his sword skills. However, everything was ruined after Hitaki Tsukumo committed suicide. Kakashi didn't even want to mention the word swordsmanship. Kakashi's face gradually turned cold. I don't know how to use a knife, and it's impossible to use a knife. He said firmly. With a little contempt. Su Ming shook his head and said. Among the entire Konoha, there are actually only two people I admire. One is my father, Namikaze Minato. He is a hero. And the other one is called Konoha White Fang, his name is Hitaki Tsukumo. He is also a hero. Su Ming looked directly at Kakashi and said word by word. When listening to Su Ming's words, Kakashi's body trembled slightly. A ninja who cannot complete his mission is just useless. So what if I save my comrades? Will I still be blamed? After a long time, Kakashi spoke, his voice trembling. His father's death had a great impact on him. Su Ming Dao, a ninja who abandons his mission for the sake of his companions is never a waste. But on the contrary, a person who abandons his companions for the sake of his mission is a scumbag. Su Ming turned around, and before leaving, he smiled at Kakashi. Actually, I still think you are very suitable for knife skills. Su Ming left. Kakashi was left silent. After a long time, he raised his head, looked at the sky, and murmured. Father. Itachi, starting from today, in the name of the third Hokage, I grant you the position of captain of the Anbu team. I hope you will work hard. In the Hokage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi held a cigarette pot in his mouth and patted Itachi on the shoulder. Sandaime-sama. Itachi looked respectful. I have only joined Anbu not long ago. Is this bad? Nothing bad. Sarutobi smiled kindly. You are an outstanding young man. The village needs young people and vitality. Sometimes adding some fresh blood is a good choice. Besides, Itachi, I believe you. Sarutobi was laughing. Itachi lowered his head. That look seemed to be respectful, but it actually covered the confusion in his eyes. A village, a clan. The contradiction between the two is simply difficult to reconcile, and the tribesmen only show arrogance and arrogance. But the village. If a battle really breaks out, there is only one outcome for such an Uchiha. Destroyed. Itachi thought of the man behind Sarutobi who had the function of assisting the Hokage, Danzo. With his ruthlessness, the Uchiha clan will be completely destroyed. The only one who can stay is Itachi. Neither could Sasuke. Don't worry so much. Suddenly, a big hand came down and gently patted Itachi's shoulder. I will handle Uchiha matters and try to find the best solution. Actually, we may have forgotten that Uchiha is also the Uchiha of Konoha. Sometimes it may be a better choice to try to believe him. Third generation, sir. Itachi looked up, with a look of disbelief in his eyes. He had never thought that the third Hokage would have such a broad mind, but Uchiha. Go and do your work first, Sarutobi said. Yes. Itachi turned around. Before leaving, Sarutobi suddenly called Itachi. These days, the village and Uchiha are in a sensitive period. Contact with Su Ming and Naruto should not be so frequent, otherwise, they may be implicated. I see. Itachi nodded and left immediately. In his eyes, something was gradually firming up. Itachi always feels that taking all the responsibilities on himself will bring happiness to others. He is not even afraid of being misunderstood by others. He is very stubborn and very great. Beside a small river. Su Ming sat on the edge of the bridge, his legs hanging down. Beside him. The woman has beautiful long black hair, a beauty mark under her right eye, a purple cheongsam, and wristbands. Of course, the iron Konoha forehead protector on her forehead showed her status as a genin. Her name is Uchiha Izumi, and she graduated from ninja school not long ago. Su Ming met her on the way back. It's not fate, because Quan came to see Su Ming specifically. For Itachi. Quan is a very beautiful girl and very gentle. She is probably the ideal type of many men. However, Su Ming shook his head, this was Itachi's little girlfriend. At this age, there shouldn't be many people who can rob Itachi, right? Quan nodded. Itachi-kun, that's indeed the case. Su Ming laughed, but it's often weasel like this who has a special charm about him that makes people like him. Listening, Quan didn't know what he thought of, and his pretty face turned red. Izumi likes Itachi, right? Su Ming turned around and asked suddenly. Ah. Uchiha Izumi, who was suddenly asked, was stunned for a moment, and then his face instantly turned red, like a ripe apple. But in the end, he still nodded and hung his head. So is Itachi. Quan was a little confused. Su Ming continued. Itachi also likes Quan. Oh. There was only a simple answer, but at this moment, Quan was so ashamed that he wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawl into it. It was the feeling of knowing someone you like, joy, but also a bit of fear. Finally, Izumi mustered up the courage. Itachi-kun's birthday is in a few days. I want to prepare a gift for Itachi-kun, but I don't know what to give him. Please help me. This is what Quan came for. Itachi's birthday is coming up. I'm afraid Itachi himself didn't notice this upcoming day. He was very busy these days, busy with Anbu matters and Uchiha matters. But Izumi remembers. That's good. You don't need to give him too much. If you can, give him a few skewers of meatballs, the kind of three-color meatballs you often eat. But, Quan hesitated, would Itachi-kun like that kind of thing? He rarely eats it, right? Yes, I will. Su Ming smiled. Thank you, Su Ming-jun. Quan stood up and prepared to leave. However, after she took a few steps, she suddenly turned back and saluted Su Ming. Su Ming-jun, please don't tell Mr. Itachi that I've been here. I want to give him a surprise, please. Su Ming agreed with a smile. Very simple love. A very simple child. What Itachi lacked was never gifts, he lacked companionship. It's hard to imagine how a child who massacred an entire clan at the age of 13 and still carried the truth on his back got here. Even her little secret of liking sweets has not been told to her childhood sweetheart Quan. Itachi. You said you like rainy days, is it because only on rainy days can you cry more freely without being noticed? Quan is a very nice girl. She can accompany you. I agree to this marriage for you. Looking at the river flowing under the sunset, Su Ming did not get up, but stared quietly. Intel. Brother, come home. Naruto's voice. Su Ming turned around and smiled happily. Coming. The small figure rushed forward, and because he ran so fast, he almost knocked down the pillar next to him that was pretending to be calm. Naruto threw himself into Su Ming's arms. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Su Ming looked behind him. Sasuke, do you want to come together? Oh. Juju looked reluctant, but he still came over. The moment he held Su Ming's hand, a trace of joy flashed in his little eyes. The three of them went home. Happy. If there is no choice, who would like to be alone? Squeak. The door opens. Kakashi lay exhausted on the bed after a long day's work. At this moment, his mind was filled with Su Ming's words before leaving. In fact, knife skills may be more suitable for you. Get up. Kakashi looked around the room confused. The furnishings in the house were still as they were when my father was around, and he had never touched them. Even when some things couldn't be used, Kakashi still put him in his original position. Because he was afraid that if he moved, the house would change. The more he moves, the less traces he has of his father. Until it is completely lost and cannot be found again. He is very strong and is a famous copy ninja outside, but at home, he is just an ordinary person who longs for family affection. No matter how powerful the Sharingan is, it can copy ninjutsu and movements, but it cannot copy the family love in his heart. I can't copy my father's taste. Kakashi took out a box that he had treasured for a long time and had never opened. There is only one short knife in the box. This knife is called White Fang. His father's favorite weapon during his lifetime. At this moment, Kakashi held him in his hand, holding it tightly. Early morning. After completing his daily tasks, Su Ming took the towel handed over by Kimimaro, wiped his sweat and asked. Are you still used to living here these days? Kimimaro's face turned red inexplicably, but he still nodded. When he was young, Kimimaro was imprisoned because he was too powerful and had the strongest bones in the clan. He was known as the strongest killing weapon. After meeting Orochimaru, he also lived alone. Only after meeting Su Ming, everything changed. He had a different experience, and at the same time, he also had more hope for the future. Because now he has someone he wants to protect. Su Ming, Naruto. Although the latter is naughty and mischievous, snores and grinds his teeth at night, and occasionally sleepwalks. However, it is also quite lively. Used to it. Su Ming touched Kimimaro's head out of habit. I don't know how long these days can last. Uchiha and Konoha are bound to have a battle. In this battle, it is not difficult to protect yourself. But Su Ming didn't just want to protect himself. He wanted to erase Itachi's delusions about the village. The hope of the Uchiha clan was never in the hands of Konoha, but in the hands of his own clan. Among them, the most critical point is in the hands of Uchiha Fugaku. The leader of the Uchiha clan. See if he has enough courage. Regarding this point, Su Ming wanted to further confirm that Itachi's birthday was a good opportunity. In addition, Su Ming still lacks helpers. On the night when the Uchiha clan was exterminated, in addition to the participation of Konoha's top brass, Obito would also appear. As for Su Ming, the only one who can use it is Kimimaro. But Kimimaro's strength is far below the cage level, and he still needs to grow. Moreover, he still needs to stay to protect Naruto. It is difficult for Su Ming alone to affect the situation. So, after thinking about it, Su Ming thought of another way. Namikaze Minato. Resurrect Namikaze Minato. If Namikaze Minato can be resurrected, it will be a big help. Su Ming told Namikaze Minato about this matter. Namikaze Minato was silent for a long time. There is naturally a way to revive him. As the fourth Hokage, although he has not been in office for a long time, he has heard about the ninjutsu developed by the second Hokage. However, this technique is too cruel. Because it requires animal sacrifice, it has long been included in the ranks of forbidden arts. Seeing Minato Namikaze's worries, Su Ming said, "Father, don't worry. I have found a way to replace living animals, and I won't use such cruel methods." Minato nodded. "One more thing, my soul is sealed, it is still difficult to resurrect me. This is a simple technique. I know the technique for sealing away ghosts." Namikaze Minato nodded and no longer insisted. Su Ming leaves. Not long after, Naruto woke up, got up, washed up, and got ready to go. Breakfast is usually eaten outside, with the pillars. Not long after Naruto finished washing, Zuzi happened to pass by Naruto, and then with a reluctant look on his face, he was pulled by Naruto to have breakfast together. Whenever he sees a pillar like this, Su Ming smiles from the bottom of his heart. Zuzi is not honest at all. On the way, Zuzi asked Su Ming what his brother's strongest thing was. Su Ming thought about it and told him it was the Sharingan. Itachi is also a genius ninja, but his strength changed qualitatively after he turned on the kaleidoscope. It is understandable to say that Itachi's strongest point is the Sharingan. After hearing this, Sasuke intentionally or unintentionally asked how to open the Sharingan, and Su Ming shrugged. "You might as well ask Itachi yourself about this kind of thing, he will know much more." Oh. Sasuke nodded, seemingly casually, but he remembered this matter deeply in his heart. After sending the two little ones away, Su Ming did not leave directly. Then he walked around the ninja school seemingly aimlessly. After making sure that no one was following him, he found a random place and sent a signal to Kabuto. Su Ming had no way to contact Orochimaru, so he had to rely on Kabuto. Orochimaru will definitely know the ninjutsu of Utsuchi reincarnation. It's just that Orochimaru doesn't have part of the fourth Hokage's body in his hand. But Su Ming did. He needed to contact Orochimaru. Not long after, Kabuto arrived. "Lord Su Ming." Kabuto saluted. Su Ming nodded, indicating that he didn't need to be cautious. But Kabuto insists on this. For a person like Kabuto, after defeating him, he will be more obedient than anyone else. "Where is Orochimaru?" Su Ming asked. "At the border of the Land of Fire." Kabuto answered. Su Ming was a little surprised when he heard the news. Orochimaru was wanted by Konoha and listed as an S-class traitor. Konoha wanted to capture Orochimaru's heart, so it goes without saying. But I didn't expect that Orochimaru would dare to be in the Land of Fire at this time. However, now that Orochimaru is in the Land of Fire, things are more convenient. Contact Orochimaru. I need his help. I want to resurrect the fourth Hokage. The fourth Hokage. Kabuto was stunned for a moment, and then he understood. However, after hearing the news, I was somewhat excited. Having stayed in Konoha for a long time, Kabuto naturally knew the treatment Naruto suffered. It would be extremely interesting if he resurrected the fourth Hokage and let him know what happened to Naruto. Maybe, we can see the battle between the two Hokages of Konoha. That must be something very interesting. Thinking about it, Kabuto licked his tongue excitedly and showed a cold smile. The border of the Fire Nation. In a dense forest, Orochimaru, wearing a bamboo hat, suddenly stopped, and then showed excitement. Resurrecting the fourth Hokage is really a good idea. Su Ming Jun, are you going to attack Konoha? Let Minato fight Sarutobi-sensei, it's exciting just thinking about it. Gia Gia Gia. Orochimaru laughed. After receiving the news from Kabuto, he changed his mind temporarily and headed towards Konoha without any hesitation. As for him being wanted by Konoha, to be honest, it was just a joke to him. The current Orochimaru, let alone the Konoha ninja, may not be able to recognize him even if he stands in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Ninja school is out. Sasuke seemed particularly happy today, and he didn't know why, but when he walked, he had an attitude of disowning his relatives. As usual, Su Ming picked up the two little ones. After sending Sasuke off, Naruto quietly told Su Ming. Brother, you know, Zuzi is crazy. Su Ming was stunned. What happened? Naruto shook his head. I don't know what kind of medicine Juju took by mistake, but he was inexplicably happy anyway. When I criticized him today, he didn't even reply to me. There was also the one named Haruno Sakura. Zuzi smiled at her and she fainted. Teacher Uruka was so anxious at that time. Before Su Ming could answer, Naruto added, it's quite normal for Haruno Sakura to faint. Last time I accidentally touched her, she fainted for a long time. But Zuzi, today is so abnormal, it seems. Naruto thought for a while. His eyes suddenly lit up. He seems like a happy little 2B. Puff. This kind of word was something Su Ming taught Naruto when he was bored a while ago. He didn't expect to use it so quickly. Su Ming shook his head and thought about the questions Sasuke asked him on the road today. He always felt that something was about to happen. It must have something to do with Itachi. Su Ming smiled. Naruto, don't think about this, just hurry up. Coming. Naruto quickly got ready. The land of the Uchiha clan. When Sasuke returned home, Itachi had not come back yet. After staying in the house for a while, he sat on the steps outside, holding his chin in his hand, eagerly waiting for Itachi to come back. Sasuke, you'll catch a cold if you sit on the ground. Uchiha Makoto came from the side and said with a smile. Mother, I'm not afraid. I want to wait for my brother to come back. I have something very important to tell him. Then Sasuke, wait, I'm leaving first. Uchiha Makoto walked into the room, looked at her husband Uchiha Fugaku, and said with emotion. Sasuke is becoming more and more dependent on Itachi. Fugaku didn't answer. He frowned. After a while, he seemed to have noticed Makoto's arrival and smiled apologetically. Sorry, I was distracted. Still thinking about the village. Well, Fugaku sighed. The clan members are becoming more and more dissatisfied with the village. It will be difficult to suppress this situation. I'm afraid that when the time comes. Don't think so much, you should believe that the third generation believes in us. Makoto came over and kneaded Fugaku's shoulders with her hands to make him relax. It would be great if Sandai really believed in us. Fugaku smiled bitterly. He knew Sarutobi's character. If Sarutobi really believed in the Uchiha clan, he wouldn't have so many worries. However, it's hard on the child Itachi, being caught in a dilemma. Fugaku apologized. Then make it up to him. Itachi's birthday is coming soon, so why not celebrate it for him? By the way, I heard that Itachi has made a good friend. When his birthday comes, you can call him home. Makoto suggested. That's not a bad idea. Fugaku looked out the window. At this moment, a familiar figure slowly appeared at the door. Itachi is back. Nissan. Sasuke ran over excitedly. Itachi stopped Sasuke, feeling helpless towards his younger brother. Is something wrong, Sasuke? Of course, it's still a big deal. What's the matter? Itachi was slightly stunned and looked at Sasuke's serious face. This was the first time Itachi had seen Sasuke like this. Sasuke took a step back with a serious look on his face. Brother, I want to open the Sharingan, please teach me. My brother's Sharingan is probably my most powerful ability. I also want to be as powerful as my brother. Sasuke was so excited that he didn't notice Itachi's face getting more and more ugly. Sharingan. Is that thing easy to open? The opening conditions are so harsh. Do you want me to do something to my parents? Or are you going to attack me? In an instant, Itachi's head was covered with black lines. Then without any hesitation, he picked up the kodachi at his waist, used the end of the scabbard, and struck Sasuke on the forehead with a heavy blow, gritting his teeth and saying, I won't. Then Itachi turned around directly, but after taking a few steps, he suddenly turned back and warned Sasuke in a very serious tone. Sasuke, give up. I won't let you open your eyes. Why? Sasuke was confused. Because I'm your brother. Itachi was rarely angry with Sasuke. Then leave. Only Sasuke was left with a confused look on his face. Su Ming undoubtedly didn't know about this matter. If he knew, he would probably burst out laughing. The opening of Sharingan is easy to say and difficult to say. However, after knowing the conditions for opening eyes, probably not many people will want to open them, right? Who would be willing to let the person he loves die? In the original Naruto novel, if he had a choice, I believe Sasuke would rather not have the Sharingan than want his parents and brother to die. But, he had no choice. Sasuke entered his mother's room aggrievedly. Itachi, on the other hand, sat silently in the corner, looking at the sky quietly. A clan, a village. In the training given to Naruto, in addition to daily training, there was also training on the control of 9 Lamas chakra. Kurama and Naruto are very compatible. Apart from the fact that both man and beast are quite stubborn, there is nothing else. But after the conflict, 9 Lama was like a child. In the end, Su Ming coaxed Naruto and then 9 Lama, and was really speechless. As for Minato Namikaze, who was sandwiched between them, he couldn't coax anyone and didn't care about anything, and was even used as a punching bag by the angry Kurama. It was really miserable. Sometimes Su Ming thought, if Kushina was here, there would be no need to go to such trouble. One person and one fist, the 2 people and the beast would be safe. Naruto is definitely the most well-behaved baby in Konoha. Of course, Kurama will also be the best behaved tailed beast. But now is not enough time. Without enough strength, resurrecting Kushina would be worse than not resurrecting her at all. He didn't want Naruto to see a living tragedy, like the pillars. The day after tomorrow is Itachi's birthday. But when he was invited, Itachi didn't come. He was on a mission and it was Izumi who came. If Su Ming Jun can go, Itachi will definitely be very happy. Quan said sincerely. And the clan leader also wants to meet Su Ming Jun. So, please invite the Uchiha clan as a guest the day after tomorrow. Please. Quan is very sincere. Su Ming smiled and nodded in agreement. However, if I want to go, I will need 2 more pairs of chopsticks. If he goes, naturally he can't leave Naruto and Kimimaro behind. As for the fact that Kimimaro may be recognized by Asuma, Su Ming is not worried. As the son of Hokage, how could he appear in the Uchiha clan, which has a tense relationship with the village? Isn't this causing trouble for Sarutobi? After Su Ming agreed, Quan seemed very happy. It was obvious that she was devoted to Itachi. Of course, Quan also told Su Ming about Sasuke. After hearing this, Su Ming couldn't help but laughed out loud. In Naruto's words, it must be, this pillar deserves a beating. Since he decided to celebrate Itachi's birthday, Su Ming naturally wanted to give him some gifts, but he hadn't decided what to give yet. After Naruto found out about this, he immediately decided to give him ramen. Su Ming's mouth twitched, but I'll spare you the trouble. As for Kimimaro, after thinking about it, he gave his own opinion. But what he said was, give bones. This. Su Ming really couldn't accept it. They are just 2 problem children. Finally, Su Ming redeemed an amulet from the system mall. The system said it had the ability to exorcise evil and protect the body. Su Ming has not yet found out the problem with Itachi's health, so he sent him an amulet, hoping it would have some effect. Uchiha clan land. The birthday of the young master of the Uchiha clan is naturally no small matter. Especially when Fugaku plans to compensate his son, it is even more grand. However, the situation is tense now, and no one else is invited except Su Ming. In other words, even if outsiders are invited, no one would dare to come at this juncture. Of course Su Ming dared. Quan told Itachi about Su Ming's agreement, and Itachi seemed very happy. It was even the first time Izumi saw Itachi like a child. She was slightly disappointed, thinking that she might not be the first in Itachi's heart. But this disappointment quickly disappeared, because Su Ming is a boy. When she thought of this, she was as happy as a child. Before his birthday, Itachi asked for leave and could stay at home. The layout of the house did not require him, and Sasuke was very peaceful today, so Itachi decided to wander around as he pleased. He wanted to go find Su Ming, but thinking of Sandai's words, he gave up the idea. Don't bring danger to Ming Sang. Nanhi River. It is said to be the legendary river where Hashirama and Madara played together and even fell in love brotherly love. The two legends of Konoha established a deep friendship here and influenced Konoha. Unknowingly, Itachi came here. Then, I met someone. Red cloud robe, one-eyed mask. Who are you? Itachi was a little wary. My name is Uchiha Madara. Deliberately keeping his hair accessories similar to Madara's, Obito looked at Itachi and spoke slowly. Although he had grown it for a long time, Obito was still not used to the long black hair on his head. This kind of free and unruly hairstyle was not suitable for him after all. But he was a little intoxicated by this feeling of calling himself Uchiha Madara. It seems that this name represents strength. Itachi took a step back, obviously not believing Obito's words directly. Obito was not in a hurry. He knew that facing Uchiha Itachi, the talented boy of the Uchiha clan, he could not be anxious. I can help you. Obito said. Help you deal with the Uchiha clan. Itachi didn't refuse immediately. Although he didn't completely believe the name Uchiha Madara, it still had a big impact on him. The existence that can confront the god of ninja, the true god of the Uchiha clan. You don't have to rush to answer. Obito said, if you need it in the future, you can come to me and I can help you. After saying that, Obito activated his divine power and left directly. He observed Weasel for quite some time. Only after confirming that Su Ming was indeed gone did he dare to show up. Originally, he wanted to join the Uchiha clan, but after thinking about Su Ming, he finally gave up. Fortunately, Itachi is here. Gave him a chance to show up. After Obito left, Itachi was a little silent. Even though he deliberately forgot about it, he couldn't escape it after all. How should you choose? Always a question. In fact, Itachi had never thought of telling Su Ming about this matter, but whenever he met Su Ming, Itachi couldn't open his mouth. It's enough for me to carry such a painful thing alone, why should I let Ming Sang come with me? In fact, for Itachi, deep love is never about sharing, but about me carrying your darkness and you living in the sunshine. I will watch you but not disturb you. Ming-san, Sasuke. Itachi was silent and walked back home. Uchiha worked very efficiently and arranged things very well. Those clan members who were hostile to Itachi in the past also showed rare smiles these days. This scene made Itachi even more hesitant. Making a choice is difficult after all. The next day, Su Ming came with Kimimaro and Naruto. Before coming, because Naruto didn't like Sasuke, he specifically told Kimimaro before coming, telling Kimimaro to eat freely. Today he will eat Zuzi's family until they are bankrupt and eat all the money he spent to buy Zuzi's pants. Su Ming smiled and praised Naruto for his great ambition. In the sealed space, Namikaze Minato was full of embarrassment, but at this time, Kurama hurriedly threw the blame away, saying that Naruto was definitely following him. His 9 llamas are not that stupid. Impoverishing the Uchiha clan is probably as difficult as choking the 3rd Hokage to death on a cigarette. Of course, another theory is that Tsunade was suffocated with her breasts. But if this is the case, Su Ming doesn't mind enjoying it for Tsunade, no, enduring it. In short, everyone is happy today. Itachi came out to greet Su Ming, taking Quan and Sasuke with him. Itachi, happy birthday. Su Ming smiled and handed over the amulet. Itachi took it, very happy. Happy birthday, brother Itachi. Naruto said with a smirk on his face, handed over a coupon for Ichiraku ramen, and said specifically. I chose it specially. Behind Itachi, Izumi smiled happily. You probably think Naruto is interesting. Itachi also smiled and thanked Naruto. Naruto waved his hand and said no, he could get his money back anyway. Itachi was stunned and looked at Su Ming. Su Ming looked helpless. Kimimaro gave him his small bones as usual. He had a special obsession with bones, but the bones he gave were a pair, with different shapes, but when put together, they formed the shape of a heart. Quan was very happy. She thinks Kimimaro is the cutest child she has ever seen. The 3 of them entered the Uchiha clan. Under the leadership of Itachi, the 3 people appeared in the eyes of many people. Some people's eyes were normal, but some were different. Su Ming even heard some lower voices, is that the 9-tailed Jinchuriki? Master Itachi really has the foresight to control the 9-tailed Jinchuriki. Our clan can threaten the top brass in Konoha. Su Ming shook his head. It seems that people's talents are indeed different. People like Itachi who are good-looking, talented and smart are indeed rare. The Uchiha who spoke just now was indeed not bright enough. Su Ming ignored him. The main reason was that Naruto ran away. After he came in, he asked Izumi where the place to eat was, and he took Kimimaro and left. Before leaving, he winked at Su Ming, signaling Su Ming to hold Itachi while he went to implement his great goal. Su Ming was helpless. Before Naruto left, in the sealed space, Kurama was still taunting Namikaze Minato, saying that Naruto would follow him. In fact, Namikaze Minato wanted to refute and say that he was following Kushina, but he was afraid that Kurama would catch him and sue him later, so he could only endure it silently. Not long after, Uchiha Fugaku came out and received Su Ming. The etiquette for receiving distinguished guests. This is the goodwill of the Uchiha clan. This kid Itachi doesn't have many friends. In the reception room of the Uchiha clan, Fugaku pushed the teacup in front of Su Ming and said with a smile. It's rare to see Itachi be so interested in someone. In fact, I was a little surprised when I heard that there is no blood limit with you. Friendships between big clans actually need to be matched. Then I investigated stop you. Fugaku smiled apologetically. Forgive my reckless behavior, Su Ming Jun. He took a sip of tea and then said. As a fourth generation, you are no worse than Uchiha. I welcome you on behalf of Uchiha. Su Ming also smiled, took the tea and started drinking it. However, his way of drinking tea was very different from Fugaku's. He drank it all in one gulp. Since Lord Fugaku has recognized my identity as Itachi's friend, I won't go into details. He looked at Fugaku. How far have Uchiha and the village reached? Fugaku looked at Su Ming and stared at it for a long time. After confirming that Su Ming was indeed serious, Fugaku was stunned for a moment, not believing that a 10-year-old child would actually start to care about such an issue. Naruto is 5 years old. Su Ming came back when Naruto was 3 years old. 2 years have passed. But he still answered, out of trust in Itachi, it's very bad. Fugaku sighed. If the current situation continues, I'm afraid a war will begin soon. Su Ming nodded, as he thought. This is also his purpose. What do you mean, Master Fugaku? Su Ming looked at Fugaku. The relationship between Uchiha and Konoha is easy to solve and difficult to solve. The most important thing is the opinion of the clan leader, Uchiha Fugaku. His opinion is the most important. Fugaku said nothing, with hesitation in his eyes. Regarding this matter, he has actually been hesitating whether to listen to the tribe's words and attack Konoha, or to reject their words and protect Konoha. To put it more clearly, the reason for his hesitation was actually that he wanted to do two things at the same time and solve the problems of Konoha and the tribe at the same time. Therefore, Itachi will join Anbu. But this is not the right decision. Is there any way to have the best of both worlds? Itachi was caught in it, feeling extremely painful. Itachi's pain is, to a large extent, caused by politics. Fugaku's indecisiveness and Danzo's ruthlessness. What do you think Itachi will do if one day Uchiha and Konoha really want to go to war? Su Ming changed to a straightforward way and asked Fugaku again. Fugaku fell completely silent. His son, of course, knew it all too well. When that time comes, will Itachi really stand by Uchiha? Fugaku was not sure about this matter. Really not sure. Itachi was Fugaku's pride. This son was able to think like Hokage at a very young age. This was something he was proud of, but also something he was afraid of. Because when he thinks about problems, he uses the thinking of the Hokage, not the leader of the Uchiha clan. Looking at the silent Fugaku, Su Ming knew his answer. Itachi would not stand here with the Uchiha. Absolutely not. Fugaku also knew this. If one day Itachi wants to kill the entire Uchiha clan, or even his parents, for Konoha, then, Mr. Fugaku, what will you do? Fugaku fell silent. He had never imagined this scenario. He never thought that his son would kill a tribesman or even himself. But, when he calmed down and thought carefully, he suddenly realized that Itachi could indeed do such a thing. Fugaku smiled bitterly. I don't have a choice, do I? That's my son. This was Fugaku's answer. He was going to sacrifice himself. Fugaku is indeed a good father, but he is not a good clan leader. He did not lead Uchiha to prosperity, but he loved his two sons deeply. It's so nerve-wracking. Su Ming shook his head. Are all members of the Uchiha clan so troublesome? Thinking about Itachi, thinking about Sasuke, and now Fugaku. I really owe you Uchiha. Master Fugaku, have you ever thought that if you act like this, it will actually cause Itachi even more pain? You can die by then and be done with it, but Itachi will survive, and he will bear all the pain of Uchiha's demise. And, with Itachi's character, Sasuke will stay, he will hate, be afraid, and will do everything he can to a way to kill his beloved brother. Is this what you want to see? Su Ming looked directly into Fugaku's eyes. Fugaku trembled. He didn't think much of it. But when Su Ming said it, his eyes were full of horror. Yes, he doesn't want to. Absolutely not. He raised his head and looked at Su Ming. Fugaku was asking Su Ming what to do next. Su Ming smiled. He has achieved his goal. He looked at Fugaku and said softly. Lord Fugaku, please cooperate with me. For Itachi and Sasuke. Reception outside. Naruto lifted up his clothes with some pain, looked at his swollen belly, and then looked at the side, where there was still more than half of the food, and felt sad. He finally realized how ridiculous his original idea was. You know, what he ate was only a small half of one person's portion. For such a large portion, it was still a lot. Turn around. Kimimaro struggled to eat, and even finished the portion given to him, and was now eating the second portion. Naruto swallowed enviously. Sure enough, people's physiques cannot be generalized. Not far away, Zuzi hid behind a cherry blossom tree and secretly watched Itachi and Izumi sitting together. He curled his lips, looking unhappy. But Itachi and Izumi were happy. Izumi held 2 bunches of 3-color meatballs in his hand and handed one to Itachi, and the two of them started eating with blushing faces. Cherry blossoms fell one after another, landing on their shoulders. Izumi's head and Itachi's shoulders were getting closer. Sasuke's mouth was getting closer and closer to his nose. The pout is enough to hang 3 oil cans. Naruto chuckled beside him, patted Kimimaro, and laughed at the pillar. But because I was eating so much and laughing so loudly, I soon became uncomfortable. The most important thing is that Zuzi heard it. Then he turned his eyes sharply and vented all his anger on Naruto. Just like when they were children, the two of them struggled together. But this time, Naruto was at a disadvantage. Itachi put his arm around Izumi's shoulders and looked at his brother with a smile. Quan leaned against Itachi gently and watched quietly. The cherry blossoms are still falling. Petals are scattered. Like a fairyland. But, in a hidden place not far away, several root ninjas suddenly stood up and left here with gloomy eyes. Looking at the men in front of him, Danzo's thoughts started to move. The Jinchuriki appeared in the Uchiha clan's residence. What does this mean? As the village's secret weapon, the Jinchuriki's combat power in the event of a war is undoubtedly catastrophic. As a result, almost every village must hold the Jinchuriki tightly in their hands. Konoha is no exception. Now the Jinchuriki appeared in the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha were considered a threat to the village by Danzo. This made Danzo suspicious that Uchiha had ulterior motives. Although he really wanted to break into the Uchiha clan directly and ask Fugaku for a clear answer, Danzo knew that this was not possible under the current situation. The timing is not enough. So, he went to the Hokage's office. Hokage's office. Smoke lingers all year round. After pushing the door open, Danzo deliberately waited for a few seconds to let the smell of smoke disperse as much as possible before walking in. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen was immersed in handling official duties. When he saw Danzo coming in, he raised his eyebrows. Is something wrong? Danzo. The Jinchuriki has appeared in the Uchiha clan. Danzo said straightforwardly, straight to the point. To Danzo's surprise, Sarutobi just nodded and said nothing more. Danzo asked, "You won't take any measures?" Sarutobi asked, "What measures should I take?" Today is Itachi's birthday, Naruto. I just went to celebrate Itachi. Danzo, there is no need to make a fuss. Danzo still looked hesitant. But the Jinchuriki matter should be the top priority. I know. Sarutobi nodded, but we should also give them proper relaxation. Uchiha are still Konoha's Uchiha. I trust them. Trust. Sarutobi, your blind trust will destroy Konoha. Danzo snorted and walked away angrily. Not long after Danzo left, a figure suddenly appeared. Thank you, Third Eye-sama, for trusting Uchiha. Shisui, don't be so polite. Uchiha is also the Uchiha of Konoha. I will find a better way to deal with it and eliminate the Uchiha people's prejudice against the village. Sarutobi looked kindly and patted Shisui on the shoulder. Sandame-sama. Shisui's voice trembled, a little moved. He even subconsciously said that he had the secret of the Mangekyo Sharingan and the use of other gods. But, suddenly he remembered Su Ming's advice and finally endured it. However, my power alone is limited after all. Shisui, I still need your help. Don't worry, third generation. I'm willing to sacrifice everything for the village. Shisui spoke firmly and spoke loudly. Sarutobi smiled happily. Uchiha clan land. Reception room. Fugaku was silent. He has been silent for some time, ever since Su Ming revealed his plan. After a long time, he finally raised his head and looked at Su Ming. The power of Konoha is still very strong. The Uchiha clan and you alone cannot fight against it. Lord Fugaku, you don't have to be so anxious to bet the whole family. I have a lot of cards. Lord Fugaku will see them one by one when the time comes. But right now, I can't show them directly to you. What I want now is just an attitude from Mr. Fugaku. A firm attitude that belongs to the clan leader. This is for the good of Uchiha, as well as for the good of Itachi and Sasuke. After a moment of silence, Fugaku finally nodded. Su Ming smiled and stretched out his hand, happy cooperation. Fugaku also extended his hand, happy cooperation. The two hands were held together. Fugaku didn't expect that today's conversation would change the fate of the entire Konoha. In the same way, it also changed the fate of Uchiha. Of course, Itachi and Sasuke also changed. These troublesome brothers. If he looks back in the future, Fugaku will feel that the most correct thing he has done in his life is to cooperate with Su Ming. In the future, when the fire really burned the entire Konoha, and even burned Konoha to the ground, he, Uchiha, took this opportunity to survive and even achieve nirvana. At that moment, he realized what a powerful friend his son had made. A man worthy of a god. Later, when he looked back on his life, Fugaku discovered that the thing he was most proud of in his life was not opening the Mangekyo Sharingan, but giving birth to a good son. Of course, this is something. Su Ming stood up. Fugaku stood up to see him off. When he opened the door of the house, Su Ming just discovered that the scene of cherry blossoms in bloom was so colorful. Everyone standing under the cherry blossoms was smiling happily. Of course, except for those two idiots Naruto and Sasuke. When they struggled together, the cherry blossom petals were stained on the ground. Now they stood up, looking like two flower girls. In other words, the second treasure of Sakura. After Su Ming came out, Weasel beside him immediately looked happy. When Su Ming nodded towards him, the happy look came to his brows. This was seen by Quan on the side, who subconsciously pouted, flipped up his hair, and put on a charming posture. Under the cherry blossoms, the girl in such a posture is particularly beautiful. But, Itachi, gone. It was great chatting with your father. Su Ming leaned on a spot and watched the cherry blossoms falling from the sky. Itachi sat beside him, silent. At this time, Quan realized for the first time how absurd her original idea was. But fortunately, Itachi waved to her, and she ran over excitedly. Quan is a very nice girl. Su Ming said. Treat her well. Su Ming remembered that in the original Naruto novel, Izumi died at the hands of Obito. At that time, when she was dying, she still called Itachi's name miserably. Her only support is Itachi. The silence didn't last long. Danzo is here. Comes with anger. Sarutobi Hiruzen could ignore the Jinchuriki's appearance in the Uchiha clan, but he couldn't. Especially, in his mind, this was important to protect the village. He had always believed that the Jinchuriki should be locked up and put in a prison. Only in this way can we have better control. So here he is. Came alone. Because he didn't think that the Uchiha clan dared to attack him, and he was the one assisting the Hokage. Controls the roots. If Uchiha made a move against him, he would regard it as treason. But, it was Su Ming who took action. This Su Ming is fearless. The moment Danzo stepped into the Uchiha clan, Su Ming stood up, drank the wine he had taken from nowhere, and then came to Danzo. The Uchiha were a little confused. Itachi was slightly stunned. Quan is worried. As for Naruto, he directly reached out and covered his eyes with his two small fleshy hands. However, some gaps were still exposed out of curiosity. In the end, when Danzo was unceremoniously knocked away by Su Ming, the gap in Naruto's palm also closed instantly. Emma. It was too bloody and I was too young to watch it. Danzo left in despair. The most embarrassing times in his life were only a few times. But every time, I met this boy named Su Ming. Unfortunately, I still can't beat him. Su Ming appeared so quickly just now that Danzo didn't react when the punch came. Therefore, he was beaten out directly. Danzo stood up with an angry look on his face, but then, Su Ming punched him again. The punch was fast and urgent. Danzo dodged and said angrily, "Do you still have the virtue of ninja?" Su Ming didn't reply to him, but still punched him. After fighting for a while, Danzo said, "You can take care of yourself," and then left. Walking very awkwardly. The Uchiha were still confused. Itachi looked worried. Izumi looked at Itachi. Only Naruto laughed heartlessly, applauded and said that his brother is really awesome. Sasuke said that Naruto's laughter shook his ears, so he struggled with him again. The two little bears hugged each other under the cherry blossom tree, and then rolled around. Not reserved at all. Ming sang, "Will everything be okay?" Watching Danzo leave, Itachi was a little worried. Su Ming shook his head. "What's up? There must be something going on." Next, Danzo's hatred for Uchiha and Su Ming will intensify. But, even if Su Ming doesn't beat him up and lets him be majestic, will everything be fine? Something will happen as well. He would even arrogantly step on Uchiha and Su Ming's face to show his power. Some people are just like the big yellow dog Su Ming saw in his previous life. The more you are afraid of him, the more cruel he will be, but if you are no longer afraid, or even more cruel than him, he will be afraid of you. If you don't hit him, it hurts, and if you're afraid of hitting him, he will keep chasing you and biting you. Itachi's birthday has reached its final stage. As a younger brother, Sasuke's gift is actually quite special. At the end, Sasuke sang a happy birthday song to Itachi. The moment his voice sounded, Su Ming felt something bad. But, what's even more terrifying is yet to come. For the first time, Su Ming felt that the blood successor limit of the terrifying Uchiha was not the Sharingan, but the voice. In the middle of Zuzi's birthday song, Naruto couldn't bear it anymore and ran to the cherry blossom tree and vomited out all the food he had eaten. The other Uchihas, although not like this, were not much better. In the end, Juju looked at this scene with a red face, somewhat pitiful. Only then did Su Ming realize that sound escape was not the specialty of the Uchiha clan, but the Pilar's own. Probably, when Indra fought with Asura, the powerful weapon he used to fight against his immortal mouth escape was the voice that could sing the tailed beast, right? In the sealed space, 9 llamas had fainted. Su Ming smiled helplessly, feeling terrible about Zuju's talent. One day passed, and Itachi's birthday party was finally over. In front of the Uchiha clan, before Su Ming left, he knocked on Itachi's forehead. Live well, remember, to me, to Sasuke, your life is more important than the entire Konoha. Su Ming left. Itachi stood there in a daze. There is still residual warmth on the forehead. But Itachi's mind was filled with what Su Ming said before leaving. On the way, Su Ming held Naruto with one hand and Kimimaro with the other. In fact, for everyone, the world is only so big. One person's world is not big enough to accommodate everyone, but it can accommodate the people he cares about. Whether it's Su Ming or Naruto. Konoha has never been the world. The world is each other. When you are here, the world is here. Su Ming is home. Not long after, Kabuto came, and he brought news about Orochimaru. Orochimaru had arrived at the border of Konoha and was hiding in the small villages around Konoha. In fact, it's not a secret, because Orochimaru has already changed his body, and even to keep it secret, he is not of the same gender. Su Ming patted his forehead, and the scene he was worried about really happened. However, now that Orochimaru is here, the matter of resurrecting Namikaze Minato has to be further put on the agenda. To resurrect Namikaze Minato, there are 2 points that need to be resolved first. Soul, body. Namikaze Minato's soul was not in the Pure Land. Although Su Ming used the immortal charm to save a trace of it, this trace was not enough to revive Minato. Therefore, he needed to release Minato's soul. This requires the use of the death mask. Of course, this can be left to Orochimaru. I believe Orochimaru will be very interested in these things. So, let Kabuto bring Orochimaru. Another need, the body. Baiju. Su Ming didn't know where to find Baiju, but how to find Obito, Su Ming knew. Su Ming left home and just hid near Uchiha. With the ability of his second template, Shadow Blade, even if he wanted to hide it, the Uchiha tribe would not be able to detect it. For the same reason, Obito is also difficult to find. Obito actually has special feelings for Itachi. He admired Itachi, but resented Itachi. As the owner of the Mangekyo Sharingan, Obito recognized Itachi's excellence. If anyone among the current Uchiha could open the Mangekyo, Obito would definitely say Itachi, without a doubt. But Obito's feelings for Uchiha are very complicated. In this world, there is only one person who can make him feel different emotions, Lin. But what he wants to create is just a world with Lin, not to resurrect Lin. There is Lin's world, and there is Obito, but there may not be Kakashi. After resurrecting Lin, she had both. It's hard to imagine what Obito was thinking. Su Ming didn't think about it, he only knew that Obito could be found here. Then he found it. Found Obito who wanted to find Itachi. Haven't seen you for a long time. This was the first thing Su Ming said after meeting. When he saw Su Ming, Obito's only exposed Sharingan trembled subconsciously. If he wasn't wearing a mask, he would have seen the corners of his eyes raised. The moment their eyes met, Obito subconsciously used his divine power to escape. But Su Ming directly activated the ability of the second template, which made Obito's eyes glazed over for an instant. Then a kunai was thrown. Su Ming arrived in front of Obito and slapped him with a palm at the same time. Obito woke up and turned around, then avoided Su Ming's subsequent attack, activated his divine power, and his body became insubstantial. Of course, this time he learned wisely and did not directly manifest the entity. Instead, he waited for a while before manifesting it. This time, the spiral pill passed through the body. Obito smiled proudly. Then he left laughing. He felt that he had played a trick on Su Ming and that he had severely humiliated the other party. But, in fact, when Su Ming came into contact with him for the first time, he planted the mark of the Flying Thunder God on his body. Everything that happened next was just Su Ming's deliberate act. The so-called Baiju. A body prepared for Minato Namikaze to be resurrected. Su Ming had already calculated everything. However, because Su Ming was caught off guard by Su Ming's Flying Thunder God last time, Obito had a foresight and deliberately stayed in the Kamui space for a while before going out. Appeared in a place with white Zetsu. However, the moment he appeared, Obito suddenly felt an evil wind coming from behind him. When he turned around, he suddenly discovered that a figure had appeared. Laugh. Cold light flashed and the sword struck. That sword is Su Ming's sword. Aye. Obito was careful enough. He even deliberately stayed in the Kamui space just to avoid Su Ming from doing anything on him and making a sneak attack. Although, he was not sure whether Su Ming could really do it at such a long distance. As a result, Su Ming really came over. Also coming over was the long sword in his hand. Laugh. Blood splattered. The smaller half of Obito's body was struck by a sword and separated immediately. Obito activated his divine power in a panic and fled again. In the divine space, the seriously injured Obito fell heavily to the ground. If he hadn't escaped quickly enough, Su Ming's sword would have been enough to cut his body in half, and then send him to see Madara in the pure land of paradise. At this moment, Obito looked ferocious, and he called Su Ming's name fiercely. He even vowed that when the plan is successfully implemented, he will be dealt with severely. After Obito left, Su Ming slowly looked around here. The space is dark and there is not much light. It looks a bit like a cave. Not long after, a white figure emerged. Su Ming smiled. This is the purpose of this trip, Baiju. Reaching out, Baiju was caught in Su Ming's hand without any resistance. The sticky feeling in his hand made Su Ming frown. After catching Baiju, Su Ming did not leave directly, but continued walking inside. He remembered that Uchiha Madara was also here. Only, When Su Ming reached the innermost part, he only saw an old corpse. Judging from the clothing on his body, he can vaguely see traces of Madara. That's Madara. He is dead. He should have died of old age. After all, there is a long way between Madara's era and now. Even in peaceful times, a ninja may not be able to survive until now. What's more, Madara was seriously injured. Sigh slightly. Su Ming was still thinking that if he could meet this Uchiha Dance King, he might be able to have a drink and compete with each other. It's a pity that it can't be done anymore. No matter how powerful a person is, he will eventually leave and die. Although helpless, this is the rule of the ninja world. Su Ming leaves. He got White Zetsu, the sacrifice needed to resurrect Namikaze Minato. However, because Bai Zetsu hid too quickly, Su Ming only caught one and could only resurrect Namikaze Minato. In fact, if there is enough time, Su Ming would like to catch a few more. When the time comes, he will resurrect Hashirama and Tobirama together, especially Tobirama, so that he can see that the successor he has chosen is within his tolerance. Next, the Thousand Hands clan was ruined. I don't know how exciting it will be then. But alas, there was not enough time. Konoha's determination towards Uchiha only grew stronger. After catching Bai Zetsu, Su Ming went home, leaving behind a shadow clone and left Konoha. He went to find Orochimaru. Orochimaru is more suitable to perform the technique of earth reincarnation. Of course, Orochimaru is also interested in releasing Namikaze Minato's soul. After all, the caster can control the person who reincarnates the dirty soil. Let the fourth Hokage fight against Konoha. This kind of thing makes me very excited just thinking about it. When Su Ming found Orochimaru, Orochimaru had already used the death mask and released the soul of Namikaze Minato after Su Ming handed him over how to release all the corpses. Su Ming-jun, you came so quickly. How are you preparing? Su Ming looked at Orochimaru and asked. You can do it at any time. Orochimaru said. Okay. Su Ming took out Baiju. This is the sacrifice I prepared. Orochimaru's eyes stayed on Bai Zetsu for a long time. Obviously, with his eyes, he could naturally see the difference in Bai Zetsu. Therefore, his gaze towards Su Ming was a little more fiery. How could Su Ming not understand what he was thinking? Don't worry, I will find such research materials for you in the future. Thank you so much, Su Ming-jun. Orochimaru smiled, obviously very happy. After that, it was the resurrection ceremony of Namikaze Minato. After Su Ming nodded in confirmation, Orochimaru started immediately. Seal. Yin Si Shu Chen. Orochimaru formed the seal very slowly, with a somewhat pious look on his face. Orochimaru not only learned this forbidden technique created by the second Hokage, he even made some improvements after studying it. As the last seal was formed, Orochimaru clasped his hands together. Then, the art of psychic reincarnation in the dirty earth. As Orochimaru's shout fell, the soul in the pure land of paradise was also pulled out, fell from the sky, and landed on Bai Zetsu. The white Zetsu on the ground floated spontaneously, and then changed his appearance little by little, turning into the appearance of the fourth Hokage, Namikaze Minato. The reincarnation of dirty soil is complete. Minato, long time no see. Orochimaru looked at his work with satisfaction and licked his lips excitedly. After hearing Orochimaru's greeting, Namikaze Minato was stunned and subconsciously asked. Who are you? Then, he looked at Su Ming and asked. Is this your new girlfriend? Su Ming, what the hell? Girlfriend is a piece of shit. Isn't it just disgusting to have Orochimaru as his girlfriend? Even Orochimaru himself can't figure out his gender. Now you. Rolling his eyes, Su Ming didn't even bother to talk to Bo Feng Shuaman. At this time, Orochimaru used his original voice and Minato recognized him. The scene was a little awkward for a while. He had no choice but to change the subject. How is Naruto? It's fine. I'm full of food, slept well, and there's nothing wrong except missing a father. Listening to Su Ming's words, Namikaze Minato felt a little embarrassed. Especially, in front of Orochimaru. He even winked at Su Ming several times, hoping that Su Ming would treat him better. However, Su Ming either looked away or simply looked up at the sky, which left Minato somewhat speechless. I am the fourth Hokage, don't you want to lose face? Okay, I asked you to come out. You should know why. Su Ming got straight to the point. Namikaze Minato nodded. Leave that mysterious masked man to me, I will stop him. Su Ming hasn't told Minato yet about Obito's identity, so he doesn't know that the masked man he thinks can bring trouble to the ninja world is his former disciple. Certainly. When Obito found out that his teacher didn't recognize him, he actually lost his temper. But also, you changed your appearance, your identity, your voice, plus how many years you have been dead. Who would have thought of you, Uchiha Obito? But Obito became angry. It's so frustrating. Take the road. Su Ming went over, patted Namikaze Minato on the shoulder, and nodded appreciatively. Namikaze Minato's head was covered with black lines. Brat, why are you neither big nor small? The key is, it doesn't matter whether it's big or small, it has to be on different occasions. Didn't you see Orochimaru sensei is still here? Please save me some face. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Su Ming looked at Orochimaru and waved his hand casually. It's none of your business, you can go. Orochimaru nodded. Okay, if Su Ming Jun has anything, just ask Kabuto to tell me. Then, left. The attitude was extremely respectful. Then Minato was dumbfounded. What's going on? That's teacher Orochimaru. Even he has to be respectful and call him teacher. How can he be so polite to his son? He stared at Su Ming for a long time, with a look of disbelief on his face. Su Ming curled his lips. What are you looking at? He's not your biological child. Namikaze Minato. You are so right, but why do I want to hit someone so much? Inside Minato's body, the other half of the 9 llamas laughed out loud when they saw this. Minato Namikaze, you are the man who sealed me after all. Can you be tougher? Kushina is not here, so she doesn't know if you are tough enough. Suddenly, Namikaze Minato's eyes lit up. Su Ming glanced at him. How about I call Orochimaru back and resurrect my mother? Namikaze Minato was frightened on the spot. A man can bend and stretch. Within Konoha. Even though some time had passed, Danzo's anger still lingered. His mind was filled with the image of Su Ming, and he wanted to crush him to ashes. However, he found that he couldn't beat it. He touched the bandage on his arm and fell into thought. Izanagi. Danzo almost couldn't bear it anymore last time. But that was among the Uchiha clan. Once exposed, the danger would be too great. But this time, his eyes were dark and he was obviously planning something. Recently, the Uchiha clan has been making a lot of moves. He got up and went to find Sarutobi, feeling that he could no longer tolerate it. Uchiha clan land. Su Ming's sudden request for an audience surprised many Uchiha people. The clan leader's interview made many clan members turn their eyes and have other thoughts. Several of them left quietly, and the direction they went to was Naruto's house. Reception room. Clan Chief Fugaku, how are you thinking? Su Ming said straight to the point. I think you should have made the most correct choice as a clan leader. Fugaku smiled bitterly. A child who was as old as his own son actually felt oppressed in front of him. That aura was as if he was facing the Hokage. Fugaku said, I want to see your strength. Simple. Su Ming said. With a snap, Su Ming snapped his fingers, then took out a special kunai, injected some chakra into it, and shouted at the same time. Psychic art. Fugaku is full of questions. Can he summon psychic beasts without forming seals? Are you sure you're not kidding me? However, when Su Ming really summoned something, Fugaku was stunned. After seeing what he had summoned clearly, he was even more stunned. There was only one thing in his mind. I'll do it. He is worthy of being a 4th-generation son. Treat your own father as a psychic beast. Awesome. No, he has to keep Itachi and Sasuke away from him in the future, otherwise what will happen if he learns badly? Namikaze Minato appeared in the reception room and greeted Fugaku at the same time. Chief Fugaku, long time no see. Only then did Fugaku realize that this 4th Hokage was really real. It's really scarier. Everyone knows that the 4th generation is dead, but now. Don't worry, Mr. Fugaku. People can die, but they don't say they can't be resurrected. Su Ming smiled. I can assure you that the 4th Hokage is real. Fugaku's face was filled with shock. If it's easy to pretend. However, I like it. Fugaku nodded. If that's the case, I have no problem at all. The Uchiha clan is still under his control, although there are many people who want to fight Konoha. However, there are also many people who don't want to. Su Ming's advice to Fugaku was to abandon them. A gecko was born by cutting off its tail, and Uchiha's current situation was just like that of a gecko. There is no best of both worlds, something must be given up. Fugaku made a decision. However, Su Ming shook his head, it's not that simple. Fugaku was stunned. The current situation between the two sides is such that we have to take action. Even if you eliminate those clan members now, Konoha may not let the Uchiha clan go. What's your opinion? Fugaku asked. The pedantic ones who transferred their clansmen and wanted to start a war against Konoha completely abandoned them and became cannon fodder for Uchiha's revival. Su Ming Dao. Then hide the rest. Only when Uchiha truly disappears will Konoha be completely relieved of you. Fugaku was silent. Then he nodded again. He agreed. Living towards death is the only way out for Uchiha. Of course, there were only 5 people who knew about this plan. Su Ming, Fugaku, Namikaze Minato, Orochimaru and Kurama. Because the hidden things were transferred to Orochimaru and transferred away using the Flying Thunder God. Hiding well without being discovered was Orochimaru's specialty. Snakes always have some different abilities. After all, in order not to be made into snake soup, you have to fight hard, right? Neither Shisui nor Itachi knew about this plan, and Su Ming had no intention of telling them, especially Itachi. Their current relationship with Konoha is unusual. If they knew about it, it might arouse the suspicion of Konoha's senior officials. When Su Ming left, several Uchiha clan members who left went to Naruto's house and wanted to capture Naruto. They really have the idea of controlling the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but it's a pity that the idea is good, but the strength is not enough. After Kimimaro threw a few Uchiha clan members out, he clapped his hands and walked back with a calm expression. After he returned, Naruto looked confident. I know these people can't stop your little fist. Kimimaro shook his head. Naruto was stunned. Are they that strong? Kimimaro shook his head again. Naruto was completely stunned. Kimimaro stretched out 2 fingers, then retracted one, and said. For these people, 1 finger is enough. Naruto. Zuzi was also there, and after hearing this, he almost wanted to hit Kimimaro. How can I die if I don't pretend? Is my Uchiha clan so weak? Zuzi used to be a staunch supporter of the Uchiha clan, but now, since he became Su Ming's disciple, he has been attacked repeatedly. It's okay for this idiot Naruto to be pretty good, but he also has such a strong brother. Moreover, his brother went out and brought back an even more perverted one. Are there only so many geniuses in the world? The Sharingan is said to be one of the 3 major pupil techniques. Why can't I see it? Su Ming is back. I didn't bring the water gate, so it's not a good time to expose it yet. Although Minato wanted to reunite with Naruto, he had to hold back. Minato disappeared in the sealed space, but except for Julama blinking and snorting, he was gone. Minato was also worried that Naruto would miss him, but Naruto didn't even notice. All he saw was Su Ming. Brother! He shouted excitedly. When Su Ming came back, he also brought Zishui back. Of course, it is to open the Sharingan for the pillar. After coming back, Su Ming looked at Juju. He asked Zuzi a question very seriously. Zuzi, do you want to open the Sharingan? When Su Ming said this, Sasuke was stunned for a moment, and then showed a look of ecstasy. Want to open the Sharingan? Of course I thought so. I just want it too much. He even told Itachi about this, but he was ruthlessly rejected by Itachi. Now, when Su Ming said this, Sasuke naturally agreed without even thinking about it. Su Ming still looked serious. If you want to open the Sharingan, the process will be extremely painful. Are you willing to bear it? Zuzu nodded. Yes, as long as I can open the Sharingan, I can endure any hardship. Juju looked determined. Su Ming shook his head. Young people are still young. The pain of opening the Sharingan is not something that ordinary people can bear. He looked at Shisui and nodded, indicating that Shisui could take action. Shisui's genjutsu is extremely powerful. With the Mangekyo Sharingan, it is naturally extremely simple for him to cast a small illusion on the pillar. Soon, under Shisui's gaze, Sasuke's eyes became blurred and he fell into the illusion. The content of the illusion was naturally constructed by Su Ming in advance. The night of genocide. His favorite brother would kill his entire clan and his parents. Then, he dismissed him and said in an indifferent tone. My stupid brother. If you want to kill me, just hate me. Hate me. Then live ugly. Run away. Run away. Try your best to survive. Come to me again when you have eyes like mine. No. Don't. Sasuke yelled at the top of his lungs, heartbreakingly. He couldn't imagine that his beloved brother would become like this. The parents fell in a pool of blood. And my brother's knife was stained with blood. The blood of clan members and the blood of parents. Ah! While roaring, tears of blood flowed from Sasuke's eyes. Then, his eyes changed and turned scarlet. Among the scarlet, a Magatama Sharingan appeared. Sharingan, opened. That's enough, Shisui. Su Ming said. Shisui nodded and stopped the genjutsu. Sasuke was breathing heavily. Even after breaking away from the genjutsu, the scene that just happened still hit him hard. As a result, when he looked at Su Ming and Shisui, his eyes were a little wary. Su Ming had no comfort. What you saw just now may not be real. Su Ming said. Sasuke looked at Su Ming. Strive to be strong. That day is never far away, and before that, all you can do is to strengthen yourself. Su Ming patted Sasuke on the shoulder, don't let Itachi down. Su Ming leaves. Sasuke's eyes became more determined. He wanted to protect his parents and prevent that scene from happening. Guard. This is his way of forbearance. The movements of the Uchiha clan, when Danzo arrived, strengthened his determination. Even though Sarutobi was pushed away last time when he went to see her, this time it was anything but the same. Being a Jinchuriki is by no means a trivial matter. Therefore, when he came to Sarutobi again, he was even more confident. Sarutobi raised his head and looked at Danzo. If it's about Uchiha, don't say anything. You can't attack Uchiha. Danzo looked like he had known you would say this for a long time, and he said. Uzumaki Naruto, something happened. What's going on? Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is a big deal. Well-deserved event. Danzo smiled. There are several Uchiha people who want to take him away. Sarutobi, you should understand the matter of the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki. If it is controlled by someone with intentions, the threat is too great. You should also understand Uchiha's thoughts without me telling you. Sarutobi Hiruzen fell silent. For Uchiha, in fact, the policy has not changed since the second generation Hokage. Xenophobic. Exclusion from the core of the village does not allow them access to power. So in the last great ninja war, when they clearly had the upper hand, the three ninjas retreated and the Uchiha clan retreated. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen knew very well that such an opportunity to establish prestige could never be left to the Uchiha clan. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. But now, he actually took action against the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki. He squeezed the smoke pot slightly. Is there really no room for relaxation? We need to discuss this matter with Shisui again, Sarutobi said. Danzo said nothing and was soft-hearted, which had always been Sarutobi's fault. However, Danzo also knew that even if he called Shisui, nothing would be changed. So he didn't even bother to stop it. After a while, Shisui arrived. Thirdai-sama, Danzo-sama. Shisui saluted. Sarutobi signaled that he didn't need to be polite, and then told Shisui what Danzo said with a worried look on his face. I still believe in the Uchiha clan. The village cannot withstand civil war now. I have always hoped to resolve disputes in a more peaceful way, but it is too difficult. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, with a sad look on his face. Shisui was silent and didn't speak. He had just learned about the practices of those tribesmen. Moreover, he knew very well that such an approach would make Konoha's higher-ups hostile to Uchiha. But, I invited you here because I want to discuss better countermeasures. After all, the Uchiha clan is a member of Konoha after all. I don't want to take action against the Uchiha unless necessary. Sarutobi looked at Shisui. Said. Shisui remained silent. Well, Sarutobi sighed. Probably, I, the third Hokage, didn't do enough. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many things. His emotion made Sarutobi look a little more old-fashioned. This scene all fell into Zishui's eyes. Finally, Shisui couldn't help it and suddenly said. Actually, sir, third generation, I have an idea. I wonder if it is feasible. Oh, you said. Sarutobi became interested. Next moment. Shisui's eyes changed, and the Mangekyo Sharingan appeared directly. I activated the Mangekyo Sharingan. Hiss. For a moment, both Danzo and Sarutobi were shocked. In addition to being shocked, I was also full of fear. The Mangekyo Sharingan is too threatening. After I turned on the kaleidoscope, I awakened an ability called Bitojin. I can change the will of others without being discovered. As long as I modify the will of the Fugaku clan leader, things between Konoha and Uchiha will be directly resolved. Solve. Sarutobi suppressed the shock in his heart and said, "Then Shisui, this matter will trouble you." Shisui nodded and left. Not long after Shisui left, Danzo looked at Sarutobi with a hint of mockery, but this time, Sarutobi did not refute. He nodded. Danzo smiled and walked out. Mangekyo Sharingan. The threat is too great. How can anyone believe such an Uchiha? In the past few days, after opening the Sharingan, Zuzu couldn't wait to take Naruto to practice with him. As a result, one can imagine that the pillar after opening the Sharingan is slightly stronger than Naruto. Therefore, every time two little ones fight, the pillar is slightly better. But not before Zuzi was proud. Then, Ju Lama took the initiative to divide Naruto's chakra. In the words of Ju Lama, can the person I protect be bullied by others? Boom. Naruto threw the pillar away and grinned at him. Zuzi, you lost again. Snort. Zuzu turned his head, deliberately not looking at Naruto. Naruto's strength suddenly increased a lot during the battle, which was obviously abnormal. Juju wanted to say that he cheated, but he couldn't find any evidence. However, he would never admit that he could not beat Naruto. He stood up, patted the dirt on his butt, and said, "I'm not in good condition today, I'll try again tomorrow." Hey! Naruto gestured with his middle finger. The friendship between two little ones is roughly like this. The same is true in the ninja school. Although they are always in opposition and dislike each other, if someone really wants to get involved or target one of them, the other will definitely take action without hesitation. An enviable friendship. Su Ming came over, patted Sasuke on the shoulder, and asked with a smile, "How are you practicing?" Sasuke's face turned red inexplicably and he whispered, "It's not bad." Naruto was finishing up the damage. "It's indeed not bad. I played 8 games and won 3. There is progress." After hearing this, Sasuke was furious. "You." Naruto laughed and walked away. He knew that his brother had something to say to Zuzi, so with Zuzu's stingy demeanor, he might as well keep some secrets for him. After Naruto left, Su Ming comforted Zuzi and said, "Don't be impatient. It hasn't been long since you opened the Sharingan. Once you become proficient in using it, you can catch up with Naruto." Sasuke nodded. Su Ming naturally knew that most of the reason for this result was the interference of the 9 lamas. Since Minato Namikaze came out, in order to prove that he cares more about Naruto than Minato Namikaze, Kurama has become more interested in Naruto. Of course, Namikaze Minato was not like Kurama, who could give Naruto chakra and teach him ninjutsu, and Naruto didn't learn it either. Over time, he has been despised by the 9 lamas. Julama was so proud that he felt that all the anger he had felt in Kushina's stomach was back. Not long after, a figure suddenly appeared at the door. After checking around and finding that no one was following him, he walked in. Pocket. Master Su Ming, something happened. Kabuto's voice was a little anxious, and it seemed that the matter was indeed serious. Su Ming raised his eyebrows and asked, "What's up?" Kabuto said seriously, "Shisui, something happened." Su Ming's face suddenly changed. "You have repeatedly told Shisui not to reveal the secret of the Mangekyo Sharingan, so why don't you listen?" Snapped. Su Ming slapped his forehead and said with a headache, "Aren't all the Uchiha clan idiots?" When he said this, Su Ming forgot that Sasuke was still next to him. Sasuke. Then, he weakly reminded, "Master." Su Ming thought of Juju and quickly added, "You don't count." Zuzi breathed a sigh of relief, but the next moment, he heard Su Ming's voice again. "You might as well be stupid. Pillar. Master, is this really okay for you? Don't you have to worry about your lovely apprentice's feelings?" However, Zuju's pitiful gaze was directly ignored by Su Ming. "He's not Itachi. Su Ming looked at Kabuto and continued to ask. Shisui, are you still alive? Kabuto said. He has escaped, but Danzo has sent people to chase him. Su Ming took a deep breath. Well, I understand, I will handle this matter. Su Ming said helplessly. Kabuto nodded and left here. He just came to report the news. Spying has always been his job. Master, where are you going? After walking away, Su Ming was about to leave without saying a word. When Juju saw him, he asked in a daze. Go collect the corpse. Su Ming left without saying a word. Jesui has been hunted by Danzo. If Su Mingyu still goes to look for him at this time, his body will probably be cold by the time he finds him. Therefore, instead of looking for Shisui, it is better to go to where Shisui dives and wait. Wait for water. This Uchiha clan really doesn't make people worry. Su Ming's speed was very fast, and it didn't take long before he reached Nanhe River. The Nanhe River is just below the place where Shisui jumped off the cliff. However, Su Ming forgot which part Jesui jumped to. Therefore, whether he can wait for Zishui can only depend on fate. Fortunately, Zishui was more up to date, and it didn't take long before he appeared in Su Ming's sight. Su Ming stepped forward and rescued him. He exchanged pills from the system mall and gave them to Shisui, who just woke up. However, after waking up, the first thing Shisui did was to turn his head to the side and vomit. Of course, this is a side effect of the pill that Su Ming redeemed. After losing 2 eyes, Shisui's body was already weak. Coupled with jumping off a cliff, he was undoubtedly severely injured. This pill can save Shisui's life. It's excellent. As for the taste, there is no choice. More than half an hour later, a pale-faced Shisui stood on the ground tremblingly, looking around with a blank expression. He acted instinctively, but was still blind. I'm still alive. Nonsense. Su Ming rolled his eyes, but if you want to die, I can help you. If Shisui wasn't still useful, Su Ming really wanted to knock out this brain, so he might as well go back to Orochimaru and study it for him and get another brain. I told you not to tell Konoha the secret of the Mangekyo Sharingan, but you still said it. It's better this time, even if Konoha doesn't want to take action, he has to take action. Su Ming looked at Shisui helplessly. It seemed that the opening of the Sharingan had nothing to do with IQ. Listening to Su Ming's words, Jesui smiled a little. Although it was suicide, since he survived, who would want to die again? Jesui quickly shook his head. He struggled to get up and bowed to a huge rock not far away. Su Mingjun, thank you for saving me. Su Minglian curled his lips, I'm here. Oh. Zishui woke up like a dream, quickly changed his direction, and saluted again to express his thanks. Su Ming had some doubts about whether it was the right choice to cooperate with the Uchiha clan this time. He remembered that Itachi told him that Shisui was one of the top geniuses in the clan, and his IQ was also very good. But now, I can't see it at all. Forget it, just make do with it. If it weren't for Itachi's eyes, I would have withheld them in advance. Su Ming held his forehead, looking helpless. Shisui's Sharingan seems to have been given to Itachi. Sometimes Su Ming really wanted to crack open Shisui's head to see if it was empty. What he did was really not something he could have done with his brain. But, not yet, Shisui can still be used. Su Ming shook his head and left with Zishui. Su Ming had no good solution for Shisui's eyes. After all, he was not a medical ninja and there was no more suitable medicine in his system. Therefore, this can only be done temporarily. Su Ming sent Shisui to Namikaze Minato and asked him to meet Fugaku. Of course, Fugaku didn't know what Shisui was doing at first, so he was shocked when he saw Shisui going blind. Shisui, what's wrong with you? Fugaku asked in shock. You must know that the Sharingan of his Uchiha clan is extremely cherished. If such eyes are collected by others, unless the clan members are willing, it will be tantamount to provoking his Uchiha clan. Stop the water now. What's going on? Fugaku said in a serious tone and looked at Shisui. Shisui was stunned for a moment, and then his face suddenly became embarrassed. Su Ming covered his face. This operation was somewhat mindless. What's going on? Fugaku asked again. This time, Shisui hesitated and told the story. After finishing speaking, Shisui stood there quietly like a child who had done something wrong, waiting for Fugaku to speak. However, Fugaku did not speak. The atmosphere became dull. It lasted for a long time, until Shisui felt something was wrong in the atmosphere, and raised his head to take a look, but at this moment, Fugaku slapped him directly. Without hesitation, he slapped Shisui on the head. Shisui was stunned by this slap. He looked at Fugaku blankly. Fugaku said angrily, "Look what I do." Snapped. Another slap came over. Maybe it was because he felt that the slap was not enough, or maybe it was because the feeling was coming, but Fugaku's slap was not over after all. In the end, Su Ming felt that Zishui's head was swollen. But Fugaku's anger still remained. He poked Shisui on the head and said, "You actually dare to tell the top management of Konoha about turning on the kaleidoscope. You don't know that even if you don't tell them, they are all afraid of our Uchiha clan. I've awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan a long time ago, but even like this, I always hide it for fear of being discovered by Konoha, but you kid is lucky, you actually did it yourself." Fugaku became more and more angry as he talked, but suddenly he realized that Shisui's head had been swollen from the beating. Even if he was hit again, he probably wouldn't feel any pain. Simply, I gave up the idea of continuing. And Shisui is now completely confused. He looked at Fugaku blankly. "Chief, have you awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan too?" "What?" Fugaku glared at him. "Are you surprised? It's just a kaleidoscope, it's not that difficult." Shisui was completely stunned, and then he felt even more stupid. Su Ming secretly gave a thumbs up. Sure enough, Itachi and Sasuke's ability to compete was inherited from Fugaku. Just a kaleidoscope. These words can make half of the dead Uchiha clan angry. After giving Shisui a lesson, Fugaku's anger subsided a little and he looked at Su Ming. "Su Ming-jun, I have finished what I want to say, and I will leave this child to you. Don't worry, you can just go to death. Fight, I won't care." "Su Ming, you're telling me to beat the person to death who I just rescued." Holding his forehead, Su Ming finally understood that Uchiha was in the same line. He looked at Shisui. "You can stay here for the next few days. You don't have to go anywhere. When I need you, I will naturally come to you." After saying that, Su Ming left with Fugaku. Some of the Uchiha clan members have been completely put here. But Fugaku couldn't leave. He was the clan leader and his goal was too big. Once he left, he would attract too much attention. After returning to the Uchiha clan, Fugaku remained as calm as ever, and the same was true for Su Ming. However, Danzo and Jinbei were not at peace during this period. They frantically searched for Shisui, but there was no movement. Lord Danzo. At the root, there are subordinates reporting the situation to Danzo. Danzo had a sullen face as he listened to the current situation. "Don't you have any news about Shisui?" The men shook their heads. "The Uchiha clan probably doesn't know about this, right?" "I don't know." "That's good." Danzo nodded. If the Uchiha clan knew that they wanted to hunt down Shisui and steal his Sharingan, a civil war would break out. Konoha and Uchiha can go to war, but he cannot be the reason for the war. One Sharingan is enough. The kaleidoscope is different from the ordinary Sharingan eye. Danzo was very excited thinking about the kaleidoscope in his hand. The news of Shisui's disappearance was not kept secret for long. It spread quickly and continued to ferment. Shisui's disappearance was so sudden that the Uchiha tribesmen who stayed behind could not react at all. After some investigation, the only clues pointed to the interior of Konoha. This means that Uchiha Shisui was killed by people from Konoha. And there are very few people who can do this. It can even be said that there are only a few. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo, Fugaku and Itachi. The most suspected person here is Itachi. During this time, Itachi and Konoha had become too close. Itachi had even ignored the internal affairs of Uchiha in order to complete the ANBU's mission. This has made many Uchiha people dissatisfied. And once there is dissatisfaction, it will explode, but it is different from time. It didn't take long for the root ninjas to appear frequently outside the Uchiha clan, and some even did not shy away from monitoring them openly. And it is monitored 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day. Regarding this point, when the Uchiha radicals directly crossed Fugaku and sent people to find Sarutobi, after Sarutobi called Danzo, the reason given was that he suspected that Uchiha was controlling the Nine Tails, causing the Nine Tails to chaos, so a thorough investigation is needed. One of the evidences is that Uchiha Shisui possesses the Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan can control the nine tails. Refer to Obito and Madara. When the Uchiha clan told him that Shisui was missing, Danzo sneered and asked, who knows if this was a trick of the Uchiha clan to deliberately let Shisui hide. The two sides were extremely unhappy, and the Uchiha representative walked away, although Sarutobi also persuaded Danzo to restrain himself. But Danzo not only didn't do it, but intensified it. The root ninja not only monitors the Uchiha clan members around the clock, but even every clan member who comes in and out must be inspected. Now, the conflict finally broke out. I can't hold it down at all. The Uchiha clan has decided to start a revolution first. In the dim Hokage room, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, and Mito Katoen were sitting together. In front of them, Itachi knelt down on one knee and said respectfully. When he said this, he raised his head and looked at the expressions of the three people. The situation is urgent. Before they take action, they must take action first. Danzo narrowed his eyes and spoke directly. Uchiha is a former comrade. I want to solve the problem through communication, not force. I will find a way in this matter. Sarutobi shook his head slightly, but did not agree directly. When he said this, he looked at the other two people. No one objected, and the matter was settled. Several people left. When Itachi was about to leave, Danzo stopped Itachi. Itachi turned around and met Danzo's eyes. No matter what the third generation says, he will still protect Konoha at the critical moment. I hope you can make a choice, whether to stand with your family and destroy together, or to stand with Konoha, before the rebellion. Protect your brother and destroy the Uchiha clan. I think you should have a choice. Shock flashed in Itachi's eyes. Although he was dissatisfied with his clan members, he had never thought of wiping out the Uchiha clan before. Danzo ignored Itachi's emotions and continued. In order to protect the village, everything must be calmed down before the rebellion. The only ninjas who can take on this task are the double agents of Konoha and Uchiha. Itachi, no one can do this except you. Danzo looked at Itachi with serious eyes. Are you willing to accept this mission? Itachi was silent. No answer. Danzo shook his head and prepared to leave. You'd better make your decision early, before I give the order. Otherwise, Uchiha, no one will survive except you. After speaking, Danzo left, leaving only a confused Itachi. A village, a clan, a ninja. He looked up and looked at the sky. Ming-sang, what should I do? After coming out, Itachi slowly and involuntarily moved outside Su Ming's house. However, he stood outside and did not go in. The happy sounds inside can be heard even from outside. Brother, come on, come on. Naruto's voice. Naruto, you sneak attack on me. Sasuke said angrily. Hee. Naruto laughed, how dare you come and see my unique skill, taijutsu, 1000-year kill. Ah. Zuzi's voice was heartbreaking. Naruto's laughter was deafening. Such a scene made Itachi, who wanted to find Su Ming, stunned. He stopped and fell completely silent. Ming-san and Naruto are living so happily. If I go to find him, will I disturb their lives? Moreover, a clan and a village. How could Ming-sang be involved in such a thing? Itachi suddenly laughed. Although the smile was forced. I feel relieved that Sasuke is here with Ming-san. Itachi glanced at Sasuke secretly and quietly wiped the tears from his eyes. Forgive me, Sasuke. Itachi left. He has friends, but when he encounters danger, he is even more reluctant to involve his friends. Itachi doesn't have many friends, Shisui, Su Ming. Shisui has gone, and Su Ming is the only one left. Live well, Ming-sang. With my blessings. Not long after Itachi left, Su Ming appeared where he was standing. Looking at Itachi's leaving figure from a distance, he sighed softly. Did Itachi not speak after all? I have to carry it alone again. But, how is that possible? Behind Su Ming, Sasuke and Naruto looked at him seriously. Sasuke said, Master, is my brother gone? Su Ming nodded, let's go, he is a good brother. Sasuke said nothing, covering his butt and looking a little sad. Naruto put his finger under his nose, smelled it, his expression changed, and he suddenly shook his finger away. Zuzi, do you still remember what I taught you? Sasuke nodded, his tone suddenly became serious, my stupid brother. When he said this, the Magatama that he had just opened appeared at the same time. That appearance looked somewhat terrifying. Naruto on the side, after flicking his fingers several times, probably felt that the smell was much lessened, and he felt relieved. In the sealed space, Nine Lama stretched out his paw and slapped his forehead, feeling helpless. A very nice kid, how could he become so stupid just a few days after meeting Minato? The black sheep, Minato. Staring in the direction Itachi left, Suming remained silent. Itachi, I won't let you bear it alone this time. Taking Naruto and Sasuke back to the house. Suming activated the Flying Thunder God and arrived at Fugaku's place. He looked at Fugaku and asked, "How's it going?" Fugaku nodded, "Everything is ready." He looked a little angry. Suming looked questioning, and Fugaku explained. This group of people actually passed me directly and negotiated with Konoha on behalf of the Uchiha clan. Where did they put me, the clan leader? Fugaku was very angry. When doing these things, they did not inform Fugaku, but did it directly. It wasn't until the negotiation was finished that they arrived at Fugaku and told him the matter. Fugaku was put directly in front and had to confront Konoha. Although he was indeed dissatisfied with Danzo's actions, he was still the clan leader anyway, and he had the final say on Uchiha matters. These people cannot be kept. This is the cancer of Uchiha. In the evening, Itachi is coming. Please, Master Fugaku and Madam, please prepare. I will protect Sasuke if he comes. Fugaku nodded in agreement. Suming leaves. This time, he brought Minato Namikaze home. The moment the two little ones saw Namikaze Minato, they were all stunned. Sasuke didn't react because he had never seen Namikaze Minato. As for Naruto, Dad, when did you come out? Namikaze Minato. He has the desire to kill. Originally, he was worried that Naruto would miss him if he disappeared. Therefore, he asked Suming to bring him here several times, but Suming did not agree. But this time, after coming over, they found. Naruto didn't notice at all. My mentality is broken. At night, Itachi was neatly dressed in uniform and stood under the moonlit night. Beside him, not long after, the space suddenly changed, and Obito's figure appeared. Are you ready? Obito asked. Itachi nodded, his expression impassive. If you are desperate, you can come to my organization. Obito said suddenly. Your organization? Itachi was stunned. Obito nodded, that organization is called Akatsuki. Itachi nodded to show that he knew, neither agreeing nor rejecting. Then, the two separated and went to the Uchiha clan and the Konoha guardhouse respectively. The night of genocide has begun. No. 5. Namikaze Minato stayed with Naruto for a long time, which could be regarded as making up for the debt he had owed to Naruto for such a long time. Although it was also in the sealed space, for Minato, it was more real now. As for Zuzi, he was surprisingly well behaved in front of Minato. Of course, this is related to Naruto's description of his father. In order to make Zuzi believe that his father is very powerful, Naruto worked hard in describing this aspect. Basically, he summarized what Zuzi was afraid of, so after seeing Minato Namikaze, Zuzi behaved like a little daughter-in-law. In the ninja school, the two left shadow clones inside. With the blessings of Suming and Ju Lama, the shadow clones were enough to stay until the Uchiha incident was over. As for being discovered, Iruka is one of his own. At night, Suming told Kimimaro to protect Naruto's safety and left with Namikaze Minato and Hashira. When Juju left, Naruto patted Juju on the shoulder with disdain and said arrogantly, "Don't embarrass me." The three of them left. After Itachi and Obito separated, Itachi went to the Uchiha clan, while Obito went to the Konoha guardhouse. Therefore, the three of them also separated. Suming took Juju to find Itachi. As for Namikaze Minato, Suming asked him to find Obito. Thanks for watching.